Welcome to my show Spotlight. I am JC Crisologo, and today's spotlight will be on Chaplain Dow. I consider her the Renaissance woman. Former Metro Cop veteran, and now she's an international filmmaker.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to be here, JC. JC has been following me for some time. We've been friends on Facebook
Yes.
for years now.
For years.
And he reached out to me because he saw I was at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yes.
And it's my second time. It was my second time being at the Cannes Film Festival. I was really excited to be part of a group of producers that we
Yes.
actually go annually.
Yes.
Every year we
Yes.
go. That's funny. We go every year, and what's so fun about it is, as you mentioned, I'm an international filmmaker. So not only have I made films here in Las Vegas, I've made films and been in films in LA. I've also made films in Nicaragua and Costa Rica and in London.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, and in Cyprus. How can I forget Cyprus?
Yes. My gosh, my Cyprus. Whenever I hear the word Cyprus, I get so biblical. I think
Oh,
about
yes.
that city that the Apostle Paul visited back in his time.
Yes.
That's really
What's so lovely about that is a story that I actually took to promote at the Cannes Film Festival in the film market, was called Lexi Zara, and it had gotten started out of Cyprus, when I was in Cyprus as a filmmaker.
Yes.
I was there to promote another film, which was Toxic Love, but when I arrived actually in Cyprus, every person I met had the same name, which was like so freaky to me. I was like, because you're in a taxi, you're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, what's your name? He said,
Yes.
oh, my name is Andreas. I was like, okay, cool.
Yes.
The guy who helped me at the airport, with my luggage,
Right.
I said, thank you so much. I appreciate your assistance. I go, what is your name? He said, Andreas, right? So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, then I
Yes.
get to my hotel. The front desk clerk who's checking me in, his name is
Andreas.
Andreas. Okay,
Oh,
right?
my
So I'm like,
goodness.
what is going on with this, right? First thing in the morning, I go to get the little bus pass to drive around the city, right? And I chat everybody up. I'm having a conversation. I'm not just going to, do a transaction and not greet them, say hello, chat a little bit with them, because they speak English very well in Cyprus, right?
Yes.
And so
Oh,
I
they
asked,
do?
yes, very well.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
So I asked the young man, I said, and what is your name? Andreas. I was like, how is everyone that I've met so far that is
Yes.
from this country named Andreas, right? So I sat back and I thought about it, got together with a couple other filmmakers while we were there, and I told them a story, right? You're yucking it up, we're laughing, we're going, and I was like, what's the meaning to that? What is the significance of me running into all of these people named Andreas,
Yes.
right? Well, we make a story out of it.
Ooh.
So what we ended up doing, I have to do a shout out to my friend Stamatis. He was,
Hello there.
yeah, he was one of the brain children around us putting together the story of Lexi Zara. So we created this story of an American woman named Lexi Zara that I portrayed. We made a little video, and she'd come to Cyprus and she kept running into all these guys named the same name, and she wanted to figure out why. And the front desk clerk in our little short story tells her, because she didn't know her father. She never knew who her biological father was. Her mother refused to tell her. Her mother just told her as a child that her father left the family. That was it, right? So the daughter never pursued it because the mother remarried another man, and that's the person who raised her, right? So she never looked for her father, right? But when she gets to the front desk clerk in this scenario, he says to her, you look just like your father.
Oh, wow.
And she turns around and she's like, is there somebody behind me? Who is this guy talking to? She says, he says, yeah, you do. He goes, I never met my father. He said, yes, you have. You met him 3 times.
Ooh.
His name is Andreas Zara.
Oh, my God. Wow.
So, right, for her, and that's how the little clip ends, is she's like, mind blown. Now there's a reason why I'm hearing all these Andreases when I come here in this country for a father I never knew, and blah, 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 So the story and the adventures of Lexi Zara is about how she pursues that. How she goes back and confronts her mom, and she says, she comes in and she says, Mom, who's Andrea Zara? Because the mother never told her, right?
Mhm.
So when she puts it right there on the plate, what is the mom going to say now? She's going to have to say, that's your father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting adventure. And so I went to the Greek Pavilion in Cannes when I was at the film festival, and I pitched it to them. And they were pulling people out of offices to come hear the story. They said, we love the story. The connection between the Black American woman who finds out that her father is, not
from
get this,
Cyprus.
My father is from Greece.
Oh my God.
He disappeared in Cyprus. Okay? So he's Greek born, which makes my character part Greek, right? So that's why I went to the Greek Pavilion, and they were like, we want to do it. We want to do it. So that's my next project moving forward after I wrap up and do some post-production on some other ones.
Now, guess what? Because you're talking about, your father,
being Greek.
Being Greek.
Yes.
So I learned here in America because I didn't realize that my last name was Greek the whole time.
You're correct.
I thought it was Filipino Spanish. It's Crisologo.
Yes.
So one time I had a customer in this store where I was working at, and she looked at me and she said, "Your last name is Greek." And then I said, "How can you say it's Greek?" Well, it's Crisologo. In Greek, Chryso means gold and logo means to speak.
Wow.
So she said gold speaks.
Wow.
So I called my dad a few days later, and he said, well, that's right, it means golden speech.
Right. Like a golden
So
title.
I was like, my mind just blew.
Right. The thing about it is because I'm an ordained minister, and I studied. I took my biblical study where we studied the Greek and the Hebrew and Latin and all of that. So to me, to have this character end up being part Greek was just kind of like a godsend for me, because the idea of my character ending up being part Greek and how I can build that in story, not just in the scenario of her looking for her father, but also all the Greek connections and how she'll get to go to historical places, that me as a minister, I'm going to just, love the exploration and how I can bring that in.
Yes.
So it was totally God, right, to begin with, that we all had that they all had the same name, but then also to go to the film festival, which the Cannes Film Festival is a place where people go, and some people just go to see movies. That's not us. We go about business because it is a business. It's a film market.
Yes.
You get the opportunity to go there and either take some of your finished projects and see if you can get distribution, or to take a project you're working on and see if you can get funding. So
that's what the Cannes Film Festival is all about.
Well, most people just think it's red carpets, which I got lots of red carpet pictures. I got some films in. I always run into amazing celebrities while I'm there.
Yes, I was sure. Yeah.
On the plane with Richard Lawson.
Oh, wow.
And ended up following up with him. It actually was so funny because he and I are at luggage claim, right? And he has on, all you filmmakers know this, we usually make our film shirts with the picture of our poster on the front of it. Wherever we go, we're showing it off. If we're at a film festival, we're promoting. So same thing in Cannes, people are doing this. So I see this man standing with a shirt on and it says Black Terror, and it's got the picture of his poster on it, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm like, okay, we're waiting on this, like it's taking forever. I might as well start a conversation with him, right? Not recognizing who he is. We're chit-chatting, we're talking back and forth. Bear in mind, this man has a classical voice, right? But I'm still not getting it, okay?
Yes.
I'm just da-da-da, blah, blah. Oh, you're going to film, you got to film in there, ba-da-da-da-da, right? And then he's like, I said, oh, you know what? My name is Tamia Dow. How are you? Nice to meet you. And he said, my name is Richard Lawson.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yes, it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm standing here all this time chit-chatting with Richard Lawson, like, another guy on the plane, because he was another guy on the plane,
Yes.
So I always tell people you never know who you're sitting next to, especially if you go to a film festival, or if you go to any kind of, not even film market, but any kind of a premiere or anything like that having to do with movies or films, you never know who you're sitting next to.
Yes.
You literally could be sitting next to a producer, a director, another filmmaker you could eventually end up working with, which is how I ended up being an international filmmaker. It's because I met a bunch of folks, actually here in Vegas, we all met at a film festival in Vegas, and they were from Italy, Spain, France. I'm trying not to leave people out because I keep doing it. Sweden. We're all over the country, right? We meet back up again at another film festival in Spain, the Love and Hope Film Festival that's in September. The guy who runs the film festival writes in parts for different people.
Wow.
He wrote in a part for me as a serial killer.
Oh. I can't imagine.
That's what's called acting, right? Okay.
Yes.
He wrote in a part for me as a serial killer, which was, and it was when I read it, he goes, hey, I want you to read this part and see if it's something you'd want to do, right? He goes, I wrote it for you, right? So I'm reading it, and this woman is definitely a serial killer. She is off the chain, right? I was like, you know what? Yes, I'll do it. He goes, okay, we're filming in November in Nicaragua.
Oh my God! You are a chameleon, just like my favorite actress, Octavia Spencer.
People often make that comparison.
Octavia is such a chameleon. I mean, in The Shack.
I loved her in The Shack. Yeah.
She played God in a womanly form.
Yes, she did.
I love it. And then in another movie, in that movie of Guillermo del Toro, it was about a sea creature. She played a different character, like totally different personality.
Right.
Amazing,
That's funny. You would come up with
amazing.
Octavia Spencer, and that you would also mention Shack. Okay.
Yes.
Because when I was in Bible college, one of the books we had to read was The Shack.
The Shack. Yeah.
And my student, what is it? My students but they weren't my students. What do I want to say? My peers, right? My peer students at the time. They all said when they read the book that they envisioned me as that character.
Oh my
So
God.
to me, that's hilarious. Because at the time it hadn't been cast. The book was just written, but not cast, right?
Oh my goodness.
And then they cast Octavia, and people keep telling me that every time I see Octavia, I always think of you and your style of acting. So to me, that was a compliment. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So now the directoire is telling me that I am number one, which means that we are going on a commercial break.
We are number one.
Yeah, we are number one.
Well, we'll see you guys when we get back.
Yes.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century.
It's a tough market. We get it. Home inventory is at an all-time low. It's a seller's market, and cash buyers have the advantage. Recently, cash buyers made up more than a quarter of all home purchases. But we have the solution. New American Funding's Buyer Accepted program allows your buyers to compete with all cash offers by becoming cash buyers themselves. Here's how it works. Buyer Accepted LLC, an affiliated company of New American Funding, will purchase your buyer's new home with cash and sell it back to them for the original purchase price, plus a fee that can be added to the purchase of the home once they secure mortgage financing with New American Funding. The best part is that they don't need to sell their current home first. This is a true cash offer. Clients who use our Buyer Accepted program can secure financing using a conventional loan and even VA. Plus, there are no fees for agents and no sacrificing commissions. Buyer Accepted even offers a free 1-hour certification course that will make you the expert. You want to close more deals and help more clients? New American Funding's Buyer Accepted program is the answer.
Got Films is a full-service production company that provides motion picture quality content and production services for use in the film and TV industry. Looking for a seasoned crew, high-quality equipment, or other production services for your film, TV, commercial, corporate convention, sports, news, or interview project? your search stops here. Some of our projects include NASCAR, American Restoration, Pawn Stars, Counting Cars, Top Chef, BattleBots, Forge and Fire, and Street Outlaws. We have also produced over 60 feature films and documentaries. We're ready for all your needs. Whatever your project, whatever your budget, big or small, Got Films got you. GotFilms.com.
I can already feel you judging me, and not for what I've done in the past, but for what I'm about to do. I had what mattered, and I got careless. Like, I don't deserve more. I don't deserve sympathy. I don't deserve to be here.
Where the hell are you? Why aren't you answering your phone?
Jenna! What is the matter with you?
Someone once told me, you may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you're somebody's shot of whiskey.
Excuse me, ma'am. My car ran out of gas and I left my wallet at home. Could you please spare a couple dollars so I can refuel my vehicle?
I literally have nothing.
What's it gonna take to get you to join a program?
Get about a dog! If Jesus wanted you to have a dog, he would have blessed you with a bowl and a leash now, wouldn't he?
And welcome back to our last but not the least segment of Spotlight, and this is where the meat is.
Come on.
This is the main course.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And we're really gonna bring it. If you think we brought it in the first segment, this is gonna be the
Grab
the
your
bomb.
sheets.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, pretty exciting conversation that we had.
Offline and online.
And online. Oh my goodness.
Well, I tell you what, I'll just get to it, all right? Because you have a preacher in the house, right?
Yes. Yes, she is preacher in the house.
Yep. Preacher,
And
teacher, filmmaker.
God is in the house.
Amen. Everywhere I go.
Yep,
Always,
yep.
constantly. So a little bit
Yep.
offline, we
Mhm.
were sharing about the newest book that I have coming up. He had actually said the name, and I said, you know
Yes.
what? That's the newest book that we're
She's
working
an
on.
author too.
I'm a number one best-selling author.
Yes.
I've helped over 70 other other authors
Yes.
tell their testimonies and be
Yes.
able to testify as to how Jesus has changed their life, you know, how
Yes.
God has worked and moved in
Mhm.
their life, moving pathways out, and a little bit of what we were talking about on the break and what I share with my
Mhm.
students. Now, bear in mind, you don't have to be a Christian author to work with me. I work with everybody.
Mhm.
But
Here
I
we go.
do help you walk through your process and remember
Yes.
the things that God has brought you through. So the first book in the series that I walked the authors through was called Faith Is. And what it is it's a guided, directed workshop.
Mhm.
It goes on over a couple of weeks. And the authors are given writing prompts and techniques and ways to write and tell their story. And then once they're finished, they submit their stories, and we hone them, we get them nice and tight, and then we put them together in a compilation, and we do a book. All the books are available on Amazon under my name. Faith Is was the first one. The second one was Jesus Is, Love Is, Hope Is. The
Wow.
most recent one was Forgiveness Is.
Yes.
And then the one we are currently working on, we just had our last class on
Mhm.
July 1st in class, and now they're writing. And that is called Grace Is.
Yes. Yes.
And why it's so important is, I think for those of you, whether you're a believer or not, I think it's so important how you start your day and where you put your mind at as a creator.
Yes.
You know, as a creator, it is important to figure out where you're getting your downloads from.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
where you're getting them from and when you're getting them.
Mhm.
Most of us creatives tend to get it in the morning. Some of us get awakened in the middle of the night with the ideas that we have. That we get it from a dream or inspiration, something like that. But what I talk to my authors about is that you have to first surrender your mind.
Yes.
And say, now I'm open, right? Because if you don't do that, if you go on with all these distractions that are in our world, you know, you're going to always say to yourself, oh, I don't have time. Oh, I can't do that. I can't get to that. Okay, you can make time. Anything that's important, you will make time for. And part of what I say, because of course I'm a woman of God, so I encourage some people call it meditation, I call it prayer. The focused morning, you focus your morning as to, Lord, what is it that you'll have me do today? Right?
Yes.
And what is it that you have me do today? It could be something so simple as, I need you to go to Starbucks. I want you to go to Panera. Right? And you don't know why he's sending you to Starbucks or Panera. You know you can get a cup of coffee at both places, right? Yet you never know the divine appointment that may be there for you. When I reached over and shook Richard Lawson's hand, you know, and we connected. We talked. We talked throughout the festival. You know, from just being at the airport at that time. You know, from just following the prompt from the Lord to go over and talk to this guy who had, you know, a poster on his shirt. You know what I mean? You never know how you can be used. Number one, to inspire someone else, or that inspiration could be there for you. Meaning, you go to that Starbucks, you go to that Panera's, and then you run into JC. You run into me. You know, you run into someone else who sparks you, and you've been sitting at home going, I don't have time. I don't have time for whatever the creative thing is.
Yeah.
And now you see another creative that you know is out there doing what they're supposed to do, and you know right away, you're like, okay, you set this up. This is a divine appointment. You set it up so that I would see this person, and I know that the minute they open their mouth, they're going to speak encouragement into me, and I need to get to work. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's truly amazing.
Yeah, it's very important that we, as creatives, because you guys, the time is short. Okay.
Yeah.
The time is short, and what we need to realize is tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
No, it's not.
We see that even in our acting realm. All of a sudden, someone will give us a message and say, such and such is not with us anymore, you know, and you'll be like, oh, they were only 20, or they were only 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no clock that says you're guaranteed any time, right?
Yes.
Past this time, right now. So if you are in the moment, which you should always live in the moment, not planning ahead, you know something's coming up. It might be nice tomorrow if you were able to go to this. What do you need to be about right now, right?
Yeah.
What do you need to put that phone down, turn the TV off, sit down and start writing about what is it? Because it's coming to you right now, and you're chasing distractions.
Yes.
You're running after squirrels. You get to the end of your day and you're going, what did I do?
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? What did I do? What did I accomplish? Nothing. Because you're flipping through the net. Well, I won't say the name of the thing, but you're flipping through the channels. You're doing all this stuff that's really doing nothing to move forward. And for me, I always say, for your legacy, for what you're going to leave behind to this world when you're not here anymore.
Yes.
Because they can't go to the gravesite and go to your corpse and pull out all those great ideas that you have in your head, right? The minute you breathe your last, they cease to exist.
Right.
So I know this is a word for actually many of our viewers.
Yes.
It's about I say God's business, getting your legacy right, leaving behind a message and your creativeness so there can be a blessing to the people who come behind you. Because like I said, when you breathe your last, that's it. It's done.
Yeah, it's almost like the great big fashion designers out there, you know. YSL, Yves Saint Laurent has left a great legacy through his style fashion. He's, been dead for like 30 years ago.
Right.
But he left his stamp, and now the fashion house lives on. Or even Louis Vuitton, who has been dead like 100 years ago, now that label still lives on. Or even the controversial Coco Chanel.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They were saying that she was like a Nazi sympathizer, but that's a whole
I've
different
heard
story.
Different things. Yes.
But her legacy lives on.
Right.
And that's what we need to do to leave our legacies behind.
Right.
And,
So I would really encourage everybody to do that. And part of that is because, of course, I work with writers, you know, so I would encourage everybody. I don't know if you used to do it when you were younger or what, but I would encourage you to start journaling.
Yes.
And I encourage people to start journaling in the morning and at night. And here's why. It focuses you, okay, for one thing. I always say in your first set of journals, sit down, 5 minutes, first thing in the morning, what am I grateful for?
Beautiful.
What am I thankful for?
Yes.
What are my blessings? Okay. And you can do that, you know, that could, Monday could be grateful, and next supposed to be thankful, you know, the next one could be blessings. But it's about a writer's prompt. Okay.
Yes.
So when you take that writer's prompt that says, what am I thankful for? You know, what am I grateful for? And write for 5 minutes, nonstop, 5 minutes, nonstop. Okay. Even sit here and go, man, Coach Tamia said I had to da-da-da-da-da. Do it. Okay. I promise you. Do it consistently for 10 days. And then you get a hold of me, and I bet you will have been inspired to create.
To create.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's your next film, you know, whether it's your own book, you know, whether it's to design some clothes or whatever that's come to your mind, like we said here.
Yes.
Creatives, writing is so important because it sparks so many aspects of us. And when I say writing, you see I'm doing this, there's a reason why I'm doing this.
Yes.
Because it's old school. My students tease me because they said their calluses built back up on their fingers. Who remembers that, right?
I do.
Right? When we used to write so much in class and you'd have the calluses on your fingers. It's all about occupying the 3 learning modalities for us. I'm being a teacher here, y'all. But okay, writing, right? Visual. Okay? Auditory. When we're writing, do we hear what we're writing? We do, right? You know, if you're writing, oh, I really love it. You hear it.
And then in my case, because I also dabble in script writing, I see it.
Yes. Visual. That's it. So the 3 modalities, you got it. The 3 modalities.
She said this, and she said this, and this is the way she reacted.
Exactly.
Like
so you hear the audio.
Yeah.
You do kinesthetic, which is the writing. That's the physical, and then you see the visual. You know, which really helps to spark. So if anybody's a creative out there and they're trying to figure out how to get that spark, you know, and it also helps with the blank page syndrome.
Yes.
You know, when you're looking at the blank page and you're going, I really have this great idea for a script. I would love to this and this and this. And then you're looking at the page and going, I have no clue what to write.
Yeah.
Just start writing.
And now I'd like to segue a little bit on the emotional inspiration behind the creativity. I know that you've spent years, many years ago, you were a cop, and you've witnessed a lot of domestic violence, and I'm sure that you were also able to draw something out of that with your
my first 4 short films were about things that I dealt with as a police officer.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. So and then another one I dealt with a lot as a police officer. I'm actually a retired police officer.
She's
retired means I put in my time and they gave me money. Okay.
Now she's a filmmaker.
I didn't play one on TV. I was for real deal, right? You know, I was a detective when I retired. You know, and the thing about it is the things that I saw I cannot unsee, but I look at it like this because I asked the Lord, I says, what am I supposed to do with all of this? Yes. You know, I retired very highly educated. I started the department highly educated. I had a criminal justice degree. You know, so now the Lord told me, travel the world. I traveled the world for 3 to 4 years visiting other police officers around the world. I was in Kenya, Uganda. Wow, I went to Russia. I went to Germany, you know, to visit other police officers who were exposing me to their culture and how women were dealt with in their culture, because I've always been very compassionate about women's issues because, as you mentioned, I work domestic violence, and predominantly the victims of domestic violence are women. Yes. You know, they're men. I've dealt with many men who were victims of domestic violence, but more women, right?
Yes.
So part of that, like when I went to retire or when I retired, was I asked the Lord, what is it you would like me to do with my knowledge and skills and ability? Yes. And basically, fast forward, he said, go into filmmaking. So that's why I do films now.
That is so amazing, and that's all the time we have.
Unfortunately.
But it's been a great pleasure of having you in my show, and I would love to promote the film about Andreas.
Yes.
And my show Spotlight.
Yes, most definitely.
Yes,
I'll come
yes,
back
and
for
I
that.
would
That'll
love
be
to
awesome.
see it
Yes.
and talk about that movie.
Yes, I'm
So-
excited about Andreas. I think it's going to open the door for a lot of even biblical connections. That,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
So, yeah.
So thank you so much. It's been amazing. An
Thank
amazing 30 short minutes.
Oh, it's so short, so quick. Anyways, find me, Google me, Tamia
Yes.
Dow. I'm everywhere.
And like I always have like a funny anecdote for people out there. If you're Weight Watching, don't forget to eat your celery because it's the vegetable that eats you. See you next time.
Interesting.